There is one Spirit incarnated in everyone, and immortal presence causing everyone to live. What a difference it would make in our human relationships if we tried to sense the full meaning of the divine incarnation in all people and adjusted our viewpoint to the truth that we are all bound together in the unity of love. You know what? It actually says God. And I know I didn't make a mistake. While it may seem to be otherwise, it is still true that behind all this vast array of life, there can be but one common cause, one universal mind, one infinite spirit, flowing into, through, and becoming everything. So Holmes goes on to offer an affirmation, and if you can imagine that you are saying these words to yourself. I no longer meet people partially, but open my thought and feeling to the truth that there is but one living spirit in and through all people. The divine presence with the same impulse of love and life manifests in infinite variations and is never alike in any two people. Knowing that the one who loves the most will live the most. Today I go forth to meet life as I feel it really is. I shall see only the divine presence in everyone, shall sense and feel the one life in all. I affirm this presence in myself and others and accept its beneficent action. I act as though it were now manifesting as love. Therefore I know that it will be, because it already is. It already is. And we have already heard in everything that's been read, in every song that has been sung, in every prayer that has been uttered, everything we need to know. We could simply take that and go now. And yet there is more to celebrate. And we come together. We come together to remember. We come together to remember because we have forgotten. And some of us perhaps only forget for a few minutes out of each day. Good on you. Others of us have forgotten that presence and that love so much that we're experiencing pain. Perhaps we're even experiencing it often. We come together to remember. We come together to remember. So this beautiful title is like a shiny lure on a little hook. It says, 3 steps to a life of love. Come on in. Just 3 steps. Come on in. And we came in, right? 3 steps to a life of love. So what are they? Well, before I share what they are, I will also share this. We can also imagine that 3 steps to a life of love just might be a fairy tale. Too good to be true. Not possible. And yet we're here because something within us knows that love is. Love isn't really missing. Love isn't really lost. Love is not impossible. Love is not conditional. And so we're here because something within us still knows that. And yet our human selves come here to remember, to connect, that's love. To celebrate, that's love. So 3 steps to a life of love can be this simple. Number 1, know that love is all there is. Love is all there is. Love is all there is. Number 2, know that you are, that I am, that we are one with God. Love is all there is, and we are one with that love. Number 3, know the first 2, and a life of love is inevitable. Love is all there is, we are one with love, know that, and life of love is inevitable. So why do we avoid it? We don't do that on purpose. We don't avoid love because we think it might be a good idea, or sometimes our ego might think there's a more interesting way to go. But we don't actually desire to be absent from love. I said that we come here to remember because for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, we have forgotten that we are one with love. We have forgotten that love is all that there is. We have forgotten how to experience a life of love all the time. And so we come to places like this. We walk in the door and we say, I don't know why I'm here. I found you on the internet, in the magazine. Right? I don't know why. Because something within us knows that love is all there is. And that something knows that we are one with that love. And that something knows that this life of confusion and contrast and friction and frustration is optional. Wow, that's not what it's supposed to be. And when we were children, we probably frustrated our parents to no end with our insistence upon this idea. Right? We had all kinds of ideas that were unrealistic about life because we didn't have the constraints that our parents had. And as we grew up, we learned, this is maturing, we learned how to believe that possibly they, them, all of those people were right. That there were certainly only certain times of day, certain times of the year, perhaps birthdays, wedding days, special occasions, holidays, when love could be focused upon and experienced freely. This day, for example. And perhaps we learned that love could be experienced after we cleaned our room, after we did our homework, after the dishes were done. That love could be experienced after those things. And if you whistled while you worked, if you giggled while you did the dishes, if you laughed and sang while you cleaned your room, would they get done properly? Some of us learned to believe that maybe that wasn't so. And so we learned to put love off. We learned to put love off. And then we're all grown up. We've matured. We're responsible adults now. And what do? Now we say, if there's enough time after I have cleaned the house and done the dishes and the laundry, gotten the kids off to school, or answered my emails, gosh, those are infinite. I won't even mention Facebook, although I just did. We find all kinds of reasons to delay love because we have learned to believe that we should, that it is necessary, and that we must. But what happens? Remember, I spoke of love earlier on as this ember beneath the ashes. A faint glow, a faint, warm area. And those ashes are probably all that's left of all of the layers of trying to live without love. And yet, if we just blow it off, and we kindle it, and we fan it, it will become brighter and brighter and warmer and more magnificent, because it's always there. So because love loves us so much, what happens is this. We have the belief that we must put it off. We have the belief that love has gone away, or that somehow we have gotten away from it. That it's not present in our lives, right here, right now, where we are. And it's tough. It's rough. It's sad. It's lonely. It's frustrating. It's cold. All of those wonderful things. And yet that something says, no. Love is here. I am love. Love is present. And it goes off seeking it. Many of us at this stage of our lives have sought it in substitutes. They were not sustainable. Do you know that anything that we do in a loving way is sustainable? And when we attempt to do something without love, it is not sustainable. How perfect, how beautiful, isn't that wonderful? So even as we have looked for substitutes, when we finally give ourselves an opportunity after everything's done to experience love, we find that the substitutes won't work either because they're not real. Love will have its way. It will find its way back to us because it's actually within us, seeking expression. Theorizing is not enough. Can you think about this? Whenever, through meditation or any kind of inquiry, watching a spiritual movie or reading a book, or having a compassionate interaction with another person, seeing a need, love rises up, and it doesn't just want to theorize. It wants to act. So an idea of love, a notion of how love could take form, arises within us and says, go do that. There was a gentleman outside the door right as meditation was starting, and he was looking for some packets of sugar. And I said, gosh, they're downstairs, they're not up here. He thought maybe there were packets of sugar in this room. And you know what I did? I thought, it's time for meditation. I'll politely wish him a good day and close the door. And then I got into meditation and thought, what would love do? Love would go back out and bring him some sugar. I did it afterwards, and he was gone by then. I got a cupcake and some chocolates and some sugar. And lovingly took them out, and he was already gone. Love is recognizing opportunities for its expression constantly. And the only reason that love seems to be absent is because we sometimes forget how to recognize it. We forget that it's everywhere. We forget that we're one with it. And we forget that we have opportunities in every moment of our lives, waking at least, to be an embodiment and an expression of love, to be a vehicle for love. So if we go back to this, we say, okay, 3 steps to a life of love says, remember that love is all there is. That we are one with love. And that when we willingly know those 2 things, it is impossible not to have a life of love. Then how do we take that into our daily lives? How do we give room for that to express after we go out this door? We've had our beautiful spiritual communion. We've had our philosophical conversations. We've done our musings and our theorizing. And love is still in its potential state. It's not informed yet until we act. In this teaching, we look gleefully at how quantum physics has shown us this amazingly responsive quality of the stuff of life. Ernest Holmes capitalizes the word stuff in his writings. This cosmic stuff that is intelligent and responsive, and it takes form according to the impress made upon it. Can you imagine that that's love? That's not just scientific or clinical. That type of responsiveness that will become whatever you imagine, that's love. And our not knowing it has allowed us to, because we're free, think and imagine and experience the becomingness, the form taking of things which are not of love. There are ideas other than love that we made up, bought into, heard about, agreed with. And because we are loved so much, that responsive, creative stuff takes form according to our belief. And it can give us our worst fear. In a moment, though, when we shift and open our perception, when we say, oh yes, I willingly explore, I willingly remember, I willingly know that love is all there is, and I am one with love. Therefore, somewhere around here, I'm going to discover a clue, a crumb, a spark, the evidence of my own true identity as love. And as I remember the stuff of the universe, lovingly respond to my knowing and show up as love in form, in action. Our dabbling with quantum physics, especially when What the Bleep Do We Know came out, right, says this, that we can collapse the wave by thinking of that infinite potentiality in a particular way. And when we think of it in a particular way, all other possibilities vanish. And it's that one thing. So whether we think about it in terms of love that we know in our hearts, or scientifically, or artistically, or in terms of poetry and song, in terms of nature, we will find love everywhere. So how do we take this out there? It's simple, really. Let's say we'll walk out there. Some of us are going to go shopping after we spend time together this morning. Walk out there. Maybe get in the elevator or take the stairs and go down and say, no, love is all there is. What was on my list? Love is all there is. Now, what did I say I needed? Love is all there is. Now, what? Love is all there is. Just take that one idea with you and see what happens. And then interact with another human being. If nothing else, because if you purchased anything, right, you're going to go through a checkout line. If you came here in an automobile, you're going to go back out past other people to get in your automobile. And you're going to get in your car and you're going to drive past other people to get wherever you're going next. And I am one with love. Automatically, it comes up. What would love do? What would love do? What would love do if I am one with... Love is all there is. And I am one with love. What would love do? Love might let someone else go before us in line. Love might say, you know what, I'm going to sit here for a moment because the woman next to me is trying to get her children situated in or out of the car. And if I just pause, that will make life so much easier for her. Love doesn't hurry. When you slip into this pattern of thinking, I better hurry because I'm running out of time, and if I'm late, this and this and this will happen. Can you imagine that love doesn't hurry? Spirit never tires. Can you imagine that in giving or serving, you won't actually be depleted, but that will not only be replaced, but increased? How can I give? How can I serve? Already, what we've done is journey down this pathway in imagination to realize that when we willingly do this, we experience a life of love. So the way to increase that, from birthdays and from wedding days, from Valentine's days, from other holidays and special occasions, or from times when the circumstances are so right. Yesterday, right, we had a cloudless blue sky. And so many of us believe that when there are no clouds, I am happier. And then when there are clouds, well, I'm not so sure I'm that happy. Can you just imagine that you take these ideas with you? Love is all there is. I am one with love. And if I just know those two things, love is inevitable as my life. And you can say, what would love do? Now and here and here. Would love shame me for being a little late? Would love berate me for missing a spot on a dish? Would love give me a hard time because I enjoy cleaning my home? No. Would love say, you've got to finish all of this stuff first before you can be with me? No. Love would say, let me be with you in what it is that you're doing right now, and we'll get it done faster. We'll have a good time. We'll have a great time. There's so many ways. And what happens is that not only are our own lives up-leveled supremely, but of course every life that we brush up against, every person we walk or drive past, everyone to whom we maybe give a payment for a service, everyone from whom we request one is blessed. Because we know that love is all there is, so there is no other. There's not all this other stuff. And when we look at the news, we find an amazing capacity to look at what appears to be going on and have the willingness to search for the spark of the divine in all of that. And to see it, and to know it, even for a moment, and to bless it. If you sat still and did nothing else but that, it would be so helpful. We are polarized right now because we have forgotten that love is all there is, that we are all one with love, and that when we know those two things, we could not only have a life of love, but we couldn't do anything unloving. So I invite you to recognize that there are only 3 steps, actually 2, because the third is the outcome of the equation. Love is all there is. We are one with love. And with that, love is inevitable as our lives. It is true for us as individuals, and it is true for us globally. And yet we cannot run out there and make love happen until we become it. And the only way to become it is to do that. So I thank you for accepting your divine assignment with me today, which is simply to love yourself, and to love one another. Thank you.